I am thrilled to introduce someone who redefines resilience, courage, and self empowerment. Michelle Quay is a transformational coach, international speaker, and the author of Perfectly Normal, a story that turns the idea of normal on its head. Michelle's journey is one of breaking limits, but not just physical, emotional, and societal as well. Her inspiring message reminds us all that we're capable of greatness no matter the obstacles. Get ready to be moved, inspired, and motivated as we dive into Michelle's incredible story and the wisdom she's here to share. Michelle Quay, up next. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
It's my pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
I'm excited to have you here. So let me just dive right in. So, my first question is, do you feel comfortable sharing with us the story surrounding how you became disabled and what mental shift did you make to not let that stop you?
Absolutely. I my when I first got disabled, I was still living in Taiwan. I'm an immigrant to America. I've been here over a long time. Let's just say a long time. I practically live here, grew up here. But the accident happened when I was 11 years old. I remember I was coming out from school one day and I was waiting for my mom to pick me up. And it was just nothing special about that particular day, but I remember as I was crossing the street to meet my mom
Yeah.
across the street, I was running over and there I was in the middle of the street. I hear all this commodity that's going on around me. People were shouting. My friend were behind me and say, "Stop, stop, stop." And I turn around and just in that split second, I blacked out. And from what I have remember was I woke up in the hospital. I was in the hospital bed. I was surrounded by my family. The doctor was talking to my parents. And from the details that it was brought to my attention from witness that was at the scene was that there was a taxi that just ran a red light, came on to me without stopping. They couldn't stop. And it pushes me 100 feet away from where I was. So it dropped and I totally lost the consciousness.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't get paralyzed from that accident. But in order to I have multiple breaking bones from all the way from my thigh to my ankle. So in order to stabilize it, the doctor had to wrap me with plaster and just put me into the bed for a good 3 months of time, which means that I couldn't move from my waist down all the way to my ankle. And that was just the beginning of
Yeah.
a life lifelong challenges that I have to live with,
Yeah.
basically permanently.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. Oh, Michelle. Oh, okay. So I'm telling you that's I have to ask the question. I'll ask it now. I was going to save it to the end, but what became of the taxi driver?
It was a hit and run. They never caught him.
Jeez. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. So, oh my goodness. That's shocking.
You know, some of us wake up and we're thinking, oh, I have a bad hair day, I have a bad makeup day, oh my eyebrow is too low, my ears
Yeah.
too small. I wake up in the morning ever since then thinking, why am I different? Why do I look different? Because ever since then, my left leg is a little shorter than my right, and it's crooked. So in order to balance myself, I've always had to walk with crutches. And that first four years of recovery, I actually had to wear a pair of metal brace that
Mhm.
looks like someone who had a polio. Back in the days when we see people who have polio, they're
Yes.
usually in this metal brace with two crutches. That's exactly how I look. And I grew up in my teenage year trying to defend myself that I do not have polio. And I remember that that word polio just struck me because it's not what I have. And you know how sometimes we put labels on people
Yes. Yeah.
and the labels is very judgmental. It's
Yeah.
not who they are. It's not what they are. It's not why they are the way that they are. But we put label because it's easier for us to understand something that we cannot understand.
Yes, easier for other people. You're right. You're right. But I just want to address something that you said earlier. When you woke up every day wondering why you're here because God wanted you to be here and because you have an important message to share with everyone else. you can achieve, regardless of what. So, and to everybody else listening, it doesn't matter what other people think of you. You know yourself and what you're able to achieve. And of course, God does. So I just wanted to say that. Oh, gosh, what a story. So, what was the most surprising realization that you had about yourself during your journey from surviving your accident to thriving as a leader and coach?
I think the biggest revelation to me is the fact what you had just said, right? We God put us here with a purpose, and the reason why you are here is because of that purpose.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I realized was discovering what that purpose is. And I think a lot of us, we go through our journey, go through our life, we have no idea what that purpose is. We think that this is what we're supposed to do, and
Mm.
so we go about our everyday life and doing that exact thing that we think that we're supposed to do. And I went through my whole journey, what satisfied my parents, what satisfied the society. My parents want me to have a skill, a degree that would allow me to continue this journey to be able to self sustain. But that's not what I love to do. That's not why I'm here to do. That's not what God had put me here to make the most out of my lifetime. That's
Yeah,
not why I am here. And so I think a lot of what we go through is really discovering that that underlying purpose, right? The reason why we exist, the reason why we do what we do. But in order to do that, sometimes these revelation comes with tragic. It could be a divorce. It could be someone that we love and lost. It could be just something that happened. Suddenly, it drives our consciousness, drive our awareness to look at the things that we do with
yeah,
the thing that we do, we think that we're supposed to do, and realizing that, oh, that is not it. I'm
right.
not supposed to be normal. I'm supposed to be different. And that is such a big, profound awareness to myself and to
Yes,
all those around me that, oh, Michelle is this inspiration, but she's an inspiration not because of what she does, it's because how she carry herself, how she address, how she show up every day, and how she's living her true life, and that she is proud of. She's on the project apologetically, just being there and speaking her mind.
that's right. Being your true, authentic self.
Yep.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely. And let's talk about part of that and your journey because you were climbing the Machu Picchu as well. You did that not too long ago in Peru, which is I saw the video. Wonderful. I thought, my God, look at her go. So when you were going through that, uh, what were you thinking at that point? What were the thoughts that were running through your mind?
I was thinking that there's a point in our life that we no longer satisfy the status quo. We no longer satisfy with, doing the things. Oh, everybody can go to the gym. Everybody can do this. Everybody can walk. But what is it about me that brings out the uniqueness in myself? And at that point, I was thinking, okay, I want to belong in conversation where my friends and colleagues were talking about this amazing hike they went to. I want to be part of something that bring closeness to me. And so in order to do that, I need to prove to myself, most importantly, that I can do this. I am capable of doing things that other people can do, if not even better. And so when I was going through that journey on Machu Picchu, I was thinking exactly that. I was not coming back until I finish it. I was going to prove to myself that if they can do it, I'm going to do it just as good as they are, if not even better. And so there's a bit of competition that was going on with
Self
myself.
competition. Yeah. I get it.
Sometimes these competition is actually good. They are part of our reason of becoming better version of ourselves than compared to yesterday. Because if we don't start competing with ourselves, we're continuously finding our competition in our mind with against other people, and we're all different. So I shouldn't have to compete with the person sitting next to me. I only have to compete with myself that am I doing my job? Am I doing showing up better than I did yesterday? If the
Yeah.
answer is yes, I'm going to go to sleep, sleep and sound.
And you're pushing yourself to reach your fullest potential.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, if climbing Machu Picchu represents a metaphor for life, what are the most essential tools you believe everyone should pack for their own journeys?
I think they should pack three things. Well, they're actually just three words. And these are determination, dedication, and discipline. Determination takes your conviction of this is something that's important to you and that you want to do it, you want to pursue it. It doesn't matter how much energy, how exhausted you are, you're going to show up for it, for that idea that you have. Right? That's in step number one, your determination. How determined are you to achieve what you want right in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody have equal opportunity, everybody have equal potential, but it's how you determine, how you use it that's going to set you apart from others. So determination is step number one. Step number two is dedication, right? Dedication is I'm going to learn a skill of how I can accomplish something because I have this idea of that I want to accomplish it. So just because you have determination, it's only an idea. How do you implement that idea and take it into action? That requires some discipline. Well, not discipline, I'm gonna determination, dedication.
Right.
Dedication for you to actually show up and wanting to learn the skill in improving it. So once you go to step number two, the last stage is step number three, which is discipline. You gotta show up. Sometimes there are days where you just don't feel like going to the gym or you don't feel like training, but the discipline is where it shows up. No matter rain or shine, you're going to do it anyway. And that speaks also to the fear that you have, the hesitation, the doubt, the negative, the narrative that's going on in your mind. It doesn't matter how you show up. Discipline is how we get trained. You see people in the military, they get up and they're hurting, they're broken legs, they still show up to train. Why? Because it's part of the discipline. My dad actually came from a military background, and so the way that we grew up is every morning you're gonna make your bed, you're gonna bring your bowl to your mouth, and not the other way around. So that takes discipline. So if they're going to pack anything at all in their bag for this Machu Picchu hike, these are the three things I would recommend to pack: determination, dedication, and discipline.
And the mindset of, like you said, or you were suggesting earlier, doing it now, as opposed to doing it later, procrastinating and not getting it done as well.
Y
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
people put off their list forever, and the reason that they're putting it off is, "Oh, I'll just do it another day," or something else came up. If it's important to you, you're going
Yeah,
to do it today.
yeah, very true.
Yeah.
So, what does being visible mean to you personally? And how do you help others discover their unique way of standing out?
Visibility to me, it's about are you if we all have this message, we all have idea that we would like to share with someone, right? Whether you're a coach, you're a business owner, or no matter what area in your life, we all have this idea, insights, opinion. Some people call it opinion, but it's perspective that can actually allow someone else shine the light and also have a different view, a point of view on how they see things. So visibility to me, it's about showing up with that message that we're spreading, that is inspiring, and just being able to express it the way that it feels authentic, it feels true, it feels that you're actually creating a powerful change in someone else's life, right? It
Yeah.
could be a new belief, it could be a new perspective that someone else never thought about, but you're showing up, you're being visible to that person because you're serving your purpose. And
Yes.
every one of us have a message to share. So share that message in a very supportive way, right? We're not going around and sharing, well, I think you're wrong. We're sharing it in a very supportive way that allow the other person to grow. And I think nowadays people are so hesitating to share their perspective, their thoughts, their idea, that
Yes.
it almost feels like we're putting up the wall in front of us because I don't want to offend you, because I think differently than you. But we're not. We're actually stripping their right to learn and grow because they were never allowed to have a different perspective because you didn't share it in
So,
time.
So then how do we help people do that, Michelle? What are some of the practical tips that you can share to help people unlock their greatness and maintain the happiness or live with courage and not worry about being judged?
I think one of the most important thing to ask is, why am I sharing this? Why am I telling this person about this? And that's important because it's the intention of how we share our message, how we share our idea, how we share our perspective. If I'm sharing it because this is my personal belief and I want you to agree with me, then don't say a word because that's your only opinion. That's not going to help someone to grow. So, your step number one is to get clear in terms of what is your intention? What do you hope this message is going to do for someone else? And if you're coming off from a more empowered place, then you can be sure that no matter how you say it, how you express it, it's going to come off from a very empowered place, right? So you're not going around and say you're just blindly sharing your opinion, but it's more empowering, it's more inspiring, and
Yes.
that's exactly what the other person needs to hear. So ask yourself, what is my intention here? Am I intended to hurt that person, or am I intended to bring that awareness so that that person can see from a different angle, from a different perspective? So that's number one. Get your intention clear.
Yes.
Understanding your why. Why are you here sharing some message? And that is really important because, again, when we share a message, always think about what's in it for them.
Yeah.
If you can't answer that, then chances are that message is not, this is not the time to share it. So
Sure.
hold it. Maybe a better time will come around where your message is needed. But what's in it for that person? What do you want that person to learn from? That would be an important question. And so these are the important questions to ask. Intention. Why am I sharing this? And one of the last thing is that one of my mentor actually told me this. Every time you open your mouth, you wanted to ask yourself, why am I still talking? Why am I still talking? If there's some point in our delivery of the message, if there's no room for growth, it's not going to be any more valuable, then stop right there because that's more than enough.
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
Listening is good. A lot of people feel they have to talk more instead of listening. Honestly. Jeez. So,
Mhm.
you mentioned about being intentional and understanding your why. Let's talk about entrepreneurship for a second, because there are a lot of people who they feel like they have something off to offer, and they do have something to offer, and they want to start their own businesses. What steps did you take to start your business, and what was that journey like?
It was very challenging, very difficult, like all of us.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
all of us. I think when I started my coaching business journey, I was struggling because I have 20 years of healthcare profession, and that being in that service, people always come to me. Like patients come to me asking question. A patient comes to me asking, where can I get stuff? Never had I in my life that I needed to go out there to reach out to patient and say, hey, I got this product that really amazing. I think you should have it. Never had I had to do that. Entrepreneurship is a complete different ballgame because now you're looking at, you're a complete stranger in an industry where it's being overcrowded. There's a lot of people who's doing the same thing that we're doing. So how do you make yourself stand out, and how do you actually position in a place where you are getting seen? And that took me a while to figure out. So one of the first things I did was, I remember it was just right after when I published my book, which is a memoir of my journey of how I got disabled and to all the way to I became a coach. And I was holding that book, but I was thinking, okay, great, I have a book, but where do I sell it? Who do I sell it to?
Yeah.
And I had 200 followers on my Instagram, on my Facebook, and they were all my friend and colleague. So I had nobody to sell this book to. So publishing a book is great, but now I got to figure out how to market this book so that it can actually sell. And that was a long process and long journey. And finally, one of the easiest way for me to actually share the message is to speak more. And funny how speaking is a full circle for me because I started public speaking when I was 9 years old,
Mhm.
when my dad helped me wrote my first speech, and he decided to put me on these speech competitions. So I was always familiar with being on the stage, delivering speeches. I was so great at it, and when the accident happened, it took a full stop. Right, I didn't feel comfortable about my body image, none of that, and so I didn't want to be in front of people. And when I became a coach and published my book, the whole circle just came back to me. The speaking came back to me. Oh, I can speak more, but where do I speak more? I needed to find places where they would invite speakers. So it was one thing after another, and it was a long process and journey. But within my first year, I was just focusing on being on podcasts, doing webinar, hosting workshop, creating master classes, any places and opportunity that I can come across where I can position being in front of more audience. I raise my hand.
Yeah.
There's a book called The Year of Yes. Highly recommend that book. The girl who produces, I believe, is Grace Anatomy. I don't quote me, but
Oh, okay.
she
Yes.
wrote a book called the Year of Yes, and that first year was my year of
I was
yes.
gonna
I
say,
say
listeners,
yes,
take note, the year of yes.
yes. And that first year was my year of yes. I say yes to every single opportunity where they invite speakers or to have host workshop or just even giving me 5 minutes or 3 seconds. I would like to stand up and speak. So I raised my hand on a lot of things, including podcasts, webinar, you name it. I was there. And so that really got me to start recognizing how powerful visibility and your marketing would be to grow your coaching business. Because without the marketing, you have no business. And
Yeah.
without the business, you have no finance. And entrepreneurs need to start recognizing that marketing should be your 90% of your activity and things to do if you want a business that thrives. If you're already at that point where you don't have to worry about marketing, congratulations, great for you. But most of us who are on that starting and scaling and growing path, 90% of your time is you're going to find yourself doing everything else but marketing.
That is so true. You're right. You're playing, 10 different roles as instead of having the vision, right, and growing your company. That is so true. Very
And
true.
I always tell my student, I said, look, we're going to do this. We're going to focus on marketing. But I promise you, as you focus on marketing, as you're growing that business, you're going to find that you have to do less and less marketing because eventually you'll be able to incorporate team members. You'll be able to hire out. You'll be able to outsource some of the tasks that you don't want to do. For example, scheduling a social media post. You can start delegating that task because you know exactly how to do it right. And so now you have the ability to tell someone else who to do it. And at that point, it becomes somebody else's problem. So, because some of them are coming back to me and say, Michelle, but I don't want to create a sales page. I don't want to create a website. I get it. But do you have the resource to hire out yet? If not, let me show you the easy way I have to put it together. Right. And once you get to the point where you can hire, then it becomes someone else's problem.
Yeah. Yes. And that would be great because that's a great problem to that means your business is, starting to grow, right?
Exactly.
Wow. So then what do you think still needs to happen to help people succeed more often? And I'm not just going to limit this to women, everyone, because everybody wants to succeed, right? Everybody wants to grow and do things differently.
I think it's really that question. It's being asked so many times, right? But I think to the bottom line is yes, you do need the right mindset to be on that success path. But I also believe that you need to pair it with the strategies and the system in order to support that mindset.
Hmm.
Where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck on is they have this mindset. A lot of these entrepreneurs that I meet, they have growth mindset. This is why we're entrepreneurs. We continue want to grow. We continue our learning experience. We continue our personal development. But many of us, we don't have the know-how. And that's where feeling stuck or feeling overwhelmed comes in, because you don't have that proper steps or the foundation that's set up already. So your growth mindset is up there, but your strategy is down here. So you
Yeah.
keep finding yourself coming there, your mindset keep coming down to meet your strategy, because now you're feeling, oh, my business is not growing. It's because my mindset is not good. No, your business is not growing because you don't have the right system and strategies in place to match the growth mindset that you have. So the
Right.
two of them need to work in parallel and not one overlooking one over the other. And so you have the mindset, that's great, but do you have the strategy, and do you have the system? Do you have the capacity to actually expand and being able to match up with that growth mindset that you have?
And in terms of mindset, I'm just going to get really granular for a second. So, from start number one, from point A, how do you create a company name? How do you create a business name? How do you know what amount do you need to start your business? What ideas should you market? What does a market look like? What do taxes look like? Things like that, that a lot of people have those questions. They just don't know because they don't know. You're right. They have a great vision. They have wonderful ideas of this is what I want to do, and they're playing every role in their company, but they don't understand the fundamentals, right?
Mhm.
They don't understand, and unfortunately, you see a lot of things where people talk about, oh, you could do this, you could do that, great ideas, you could have this master class, but people say that's great, I want to do that, but how do I start from ground zero?
Yep. Yep.
So true, honestly.
Yep.
So, um,
There's a new phrase that we learned recently. There's a concept of a plan. A concept of the plan is not a plan.
I won't comment on that one.
A concept of the plan is not a plan. It's not until you actually have the strategy of that plan
Yeah.
that the plan become real.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So, what do you believe is your greatest gift, Michelle, and how has it shaped the way that you connect with and inspire others?
My greatest gift is the fact that I have this ability to connect with people through my storytelling.
Yeah.
And I never realized that such a storyteller until when I got into marketing, when I got into business. I love storytelling. I like to tell stories, not just about myself, but about others. And how I got this ability to do storytelling is actually I've been living with this narrative mind, like this very critical narrative in my mind. And no matter what situation I'm in, I'm always plotting out exactly steps of what's going to happen,
Yeah.
all the prediction of the words that the other person would say. So it's like a whole drama inside my head that's already planned out. So when I got into marketing, it was great because now I can take something that's very abstract and turn it into words that make sense. And that's such a gift for entrepreneur to be able to tell story that actually someone else would resonate. And
Yes.
so I think that's my biggest gift. And
Yes.
thank God for my biggest gift.
There you go. Absolutely. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. So, and how do you navigate the pressure to be perfect while celebrating imperfection as a strength in both life and business?
I think a lot of us look at imperfection as something that we're being judged, we're being graded on. Like we grow up being graded on a lot of things. If you're doing well in school, great. You get a great A versus C, then we're all being judged, right? And that get carried into our adulthood constantly. We're feeling that we're being graded, and that's where imperfection comes in. But if you think about it, the reality is, yeah, I can get a great C, but that doesn't stop me from learning and growing, right? So today I got a C, tomorrow I can improve. I always have room to improve. So I think the imperfection comes in and that becomes something that you can embrace, and it can actually be part of you that no one else's can copy. Nowadays, everybody copies AI, artificial intelligence, and everybody sounds the same. So if you are writing, let's say for example, you're writing your social media copies, right? Your
Yeah.
caption. I'm known for using a lot of grammatical errors in the past. I have typo because I'm big finger typing on a small phone. We're not designed to be perfect. So embracing that imperfection is only going to make your audience love you more.
Yeah, we're human. That's it, right? And it makes for an interesting world when you're different. It
Yes.
does. So,
Yes.
but there is a world where, especially in social media, where everybody is polished
Mm.
and and people want to, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that want to be perfect. And how can individuals cultivate authenticity while building their brands?
I think authenticity is really it's first of all is overused, right? Authenticity would mean something to one person, it would mean other things to another person. And everybody can come up and say, "Yeah, I'm being authentic." But is it really standing out as your personality? Is it something that you do consistently? So to me, authenticity is about being consistent. If Michelle is showing up with all these typo and suddenly one day Michelle show up and being all perfect with a perfect grammar and never make any mistake, then everybody should be questioning, is this Michelle or somebody else took over Michelle?
Yeah.
So I think authenticity comes with whether or not you're consistent, whether it's online, in person, or we're meeting in whether online on Zoom or we're doing in person. There has to be a consistency behind what you do, why you do, and how you do things,
Yes.
because that essentially is about authenticity and nothing else.
Yes, it's true. And again, I look forward to I'm different. I express myself differently and I have quirks and all that stuff, but that's just me and I accept it. I accept that that's me. And I expect you to be different and everybody else that we because again, that's we embrace our differences, right? And we should be celebrating our differences.
If God wants us to all be the same, he would have made it all the same.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, what has been the most rewarding moment as a coach for you when helping someone unlock their confidence and purpose?
So as soon as you ask that question, I have this client in mind, and her name is Eve. Eve and I have been working for a long time, and she started out. She's in the human resource in industry, and she's in hospitality. And she and I started working because she was feeling burned out. She wanted to get out of where she used to work, and she would text me like no matter what time during the day, and she would just report to me like, "Oh, I did this. Oh, Michelle, I can't believe I booked another client. And oh, I did a workshop and this is how much I made." And she would text me throughout the day, like when we're working together.
Yeah.
And those texts, it may feels like very small. It could be just one line, two line, but the excitement behind how she was picking up the phone and text, it was you can feel the energy coming from her. Oh my God, this is so incredible. This is amazing. And so like I love those moments when I get those texts from her, and it's just such a validation, right? Validation for, oh, I can actually make impact in someone else's life. I
Yeah.
can make a difference in someone else's life. And it doesn't need to be a room full of people. I just need a few individual or just one person sending me that text during the day. That would just bring a smile on my face. I think that is the most incredible experience as a coach.
I can understand. Yeah, absolutely. So, what advice would you give to someone paralyzed by the fear of starting something new, whether it's a business, a personal project, or a life change?
Mm. I always I would encourage that person to think about, there we all, whether it's riding a bike or maybe it's the first time you pick up the pen and learning how to write. We never start our life experience where you're already familiar with stuff. You already know how to do things. On our journey, we learn how to walk, we learn how to run, we learn how to ride a bike. Everything is new to us. But now, because you're grown up, there's more fear, there's more judgment that you have learned and picked up that sends you this message that if you don't do well, guess what? People's gonna laugh at you, people's gonna be judging you. But you gotta take that away because you're doing this for yourself. You're doing this for the people who need you. You're doing this to impact and to influence someone else who need to hear from you. So put your ego away and think about those people that you're serving. That one thing that you're afraid to do, but if you only put your ego away, would you be able to actually just take that one little tiny step that would get you closer to where you want to be so that you can change someone else's life? So don't think about yourself, what's in it for me, and how is it going to impact me or how other are going to judge me, but think about, I, if I learn this skill well, am I going to change someone else's life? Am I going to impact the people or the relationship that's around me? If so, then can you put down that ego that you're holding on to? Can you put down yourself and just take that baby tiny step? And once you get onto the bike, I bet you when you start pedaling, it becomes more comfortable
Yeah,
every single day, one step at a time.
it does. It does. And I think I've said this in another podcast too. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Really. It just step into it and embrace it. And, I put things in perspective of summers. So I always say, okay, what if I have 60 summers left on this planet? I want to do things that make me uncomfortable because I want to experience what it will do. And again, it's about bringing out the best in you and
Mhm.
not letting what other people say and passing judgment. People are going to pass judgment regardless of what you do, what you say. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Right? So, but anyway, I did want to talk about your pink crutches. Do you still have your pink crutches? Because I know I've seen it in a few videos. You do? Okay.
I do, but I switch it up. So the pink crutches are usually in my trunk for
Yeah.
emergency, just in case I have emergency.
Okay.
I lost a pair, things like that. Now I use a black one.
Okay. Because I was going to ask you a question about your pink crutches. I was going to say, they're iconic in your story. How do they represent both the challenges you faced and the strength that you've built?
I think the pink crutches really represent. I have this belief that a lot of what I do in business, it's more of a masculine energy that's really been helpful, because masculine energy is more about doing and the action steps that you take, the strategies. But the pink crutches are more like the representation of the feminine side of me, right? I'm still a woman. I still like to be pampered. I still don't like those self-care moments.
Mm.
So when you combine both, taking action steps and allowing yourself with the permission to do self-care, I think it just come in a perfect circle where you have both. And there's a lot of people say, oh, you need to only have the feminine energy if you want to attract client. You only need the masculine energy, the bro marketing in order to get the client. I think you need a combination of both. You need the doer and you need the people who actually allow you to have the permission to rest. So you need to be resting and doing to make this whole entrepreneurship something that's enjoyable, something that lights up your day, that you're excited to wake up to.
Com- Completely agree. So your book is titled Perfectly Normal. What does normal mean to you now? And how has that meaning shifted over the years?
I feel normal has always been the same to me. Normal, it's almost like the word authenticity, right?
Yep.
Are you being consistently showing up the way that you want to show up? My normal means that Michelle is always going to love counting down to Christmas. I count down to Christmas every now and then. This to my people on the Facebook community, on Facebook. And some people take it personal, right? Well, you should be saying it is a holiday. Well, no, it's normal for Michelle to count down to Christmas. It might not be normal for someone else, but normal to me, it's about maintaining that consistency that is true to me. And so, is there normal? Yes, there's absolutely normal. What feels right, what feels good, what nurture us, what support us, those are the things that it's normal to us.
Yeah,
So someone else doesn't have to be agreeing with me that, I look normal. I know I look normal. I'm proud of how I look, and I'm embracing every beats and parts of me that looks normal.
good for you. Well, and speaking of, this is the perfect question for this, since you just said that. What does gratitude play in your pursuit of happiness, and how do you cultivate it daily?
Gratitude had such a big place in my life. I remember back in the days when I didn't appreciate myself, I was always looking for what I don't have. There's always a lack of rather than abundance, right? So gratitude comes in because it allows me to look at what I already have.
Yeah.
It's about counting our blessing. And gratitude to me, it's about counting your blessing. Do you have a roof over your head? Are you able to get your next meal? There are people who don't have a home or who is in trouble or who can't even bring meals onto their table. Those are the moments where we need to start thinking about, okay, these are the things I have. Am I still dwelling on the things that I don't have in my life? And if so, how can you shift that perspective? And for me, that was such a big mindset shift to look at the things that I already own, I already have, and recognizing that I do have love because I am love.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. So, do you think it's possible to find happiness while pursuing ambitious goals, or does the pursuit itself bring fulfillment?
I am a firm believer that happiness is not something you find outside. Happiness is something that you already have. And there's a story in Thailand that I heard years ago, and it's about a golden Buddha. The golden Buddha is it was in a village in Thailand, and how they discovered golden Buddha is that back in the days, the villagers they heard that people in the neighboring village is going to invade them because of this golden Buddha. They want to take over the village. And so, in order to protect the golden Buddha, they covered the golden Buddha with concrete. Until one day, this monk decided to sit on the golden Buddha, and as he was meditating, he was like chipping and tapping on the stone Buddha because it's now covered with concrete, so no one know that there's a golden Buddha there. Until he tapped on it, and there's a little crack that he realized that there's something gold underneath. So he went back to the village, hauled everybody out. Everybody started chipping away the stone Buddha, and what they discover in front of them is a golden Buddha. And the village was like thrilled because now from a golden stone Buddha to a golden Buddha. But the point is that the golden Buddha was always there. Same thing with our happiness. It's always been there. We shouldn't have to go outside of us to look for that happiness. The happiness is coming from within when you realize the things that you have, what makes you different, and you're able to embrace into and step into that happiness or the version of yourself, take it for what it is. Then you start to realize that happiness is something that you just naturally generate when you wake up. You recognize today can be a beautiful day. And it comes down to a choice that you make.
Agreed. So, if you could write a letter to the doubt that you faced in your life, what would you say to it now?
I would say it's okay. It's okay to take your time. It's a process. So trust the process, knowing that eventually you'll get exactly what you ask for. And I think a lot of it is we keep hoping for something different, right? But I think God and universe, it prepare you for exactly what you need.
Yeah,
Like even in that moment, you're prepared, you're getting exactly what you need. So just embrace that. And it's okay.
it is okay. It is very okay. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Michelle's journey is a testament to the fact that true strength doesn't come from perfection. It comes from embracing our imperfections. It's in rewriting the narratives that we tell ourselves and stepping boldly into our authentic selves. Michelle, thank you for your honesty, your heart, and your reminder that we're all capable of climbing higher than we ever thought possible. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us today. No matter where you stand, your next step can lead to extraordinary heights. Until next time, keep climbing, keep growing, and keep believing in the power of your own story. I'm Jackie Denise.